Today's 10 Minutes with Nick is brought to you by the letter C. C stands for common sense. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. And there are a lot of creators on the internet right now who are doing animal-based content. And generally speaking, it's pretty harmless. Like, it's educational, even. And that's awesome. We love educational animal content here at 10 Minutes with Nick. We're big fans of it. But before we get into that, there were a couple of comments on the last video I wanted to address. Specifically, there was one from some gentleman or other who said he was going to call ICE on me. Brother, why? Why would you call ICE on me? I have to ask a question about that. We need to examine your little prejudices that led to that joke. Here's the thing. I am half Lebanese, half Irish. I was born in America. My parents were born in America. Their parents were born in America. We're several generations removed from the immigrant side of our families. Now, they were a big part of my growing up because I was lucky enough to know my great-grandparents. But why make the joke that you're going to call ICE on me? I don't understand. Also, it's just very rude. It's just very rude. You're just going to waste ICE's time. They're going to come to my house. They're going to say, hey, we have a warrant from a secret court that, something or other that you are not a citizen. And I'll go, well, let me go get my passport for you. You'll see it's stamped from the United States of America. I'll match it to my driver's license. We'll go on about our days. So you'll waste their time, you'll waste my time, and your time ultimately will also be wasted. So I don't know what your shtick was. It wasn't a very funny shtick. Yeah. And to the people who were making comments about the audio being choppy, I'm going to try something new on this video. Hopefully that helps bring that audio issue down. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. You people are actually giving useful commentary. Ice Guy is not. He's not bringing anything useful to the table. He strikes me as the type of person who would sit on the whatever podcast and enjoy himself. Anyways, that was my rant. Thank you for listening. Now, back to the animal content. Animal content is typically very, very educational on the internet, except for this one video I saw today. Yes, I'm going to put this person, this creator, I'm not even going to say his name because I don't want to give him any clout. He's a dummy. He's just a dummy. And I don't even need to see any of his other videos to know how big of a dummy he is. Do you want to know why? There is one animal. My coffee's done, so I'm just going to reach up here and grab it. There is one animal in the entire world that even Steve Irwin feared. Oh, my clothes. Now, for the younger members of my audience, Steve Irwin was the animal guy of the late 90s, the early 2000s. He was the guy. Like all animals on the planet. He's the reason Animal Planet as a channel probably existed. Because he was just so one with nature, right? He was this Australian guy, very charismatic. He was unafraid of any animal whatsoever. He was the crocodile hunter, right? He was the crocodile hunter. There was one animal he feared. Exactly one animal. And it was the cassowary. Why did he fear the cassowary, you might ask? Well, because it was a 6-foot-tall murder chicken. It's a dinosaur with 5-inch claws on its feet and the temper of an old white woman being pulled over by police. You get the drift. A Karen with a knife. That's what the bird is. The bird is a Karen with a knife. And even he feared it, so much so that when one of his employees at his animal conservatory fell into the cassowary enclosure, he dropped everything and ran over to make sure the employee got out because there was no universe where that animal was just going to let the guy who fell in be chill and just sit there and hang out. Like, it wasn't going to happen. The man was going to get killed. And Steve Irwin knew that. So usually when we talk about the cassowary, we talk about it in respectful but distant terms. Like, oh, look, on that TV screen, that's a cassowary. That's a dangerous animal. Here are some facts about that animal. Let's not go near the animal. The animal is dangerous and it's temperamental and it's best not to go near it. This video I saw today of this just Dumbo. First of all, he's an American. We're not the brightest bunch when we travel. We just aren't. I wish I could say we were. We just aren't. But he goes to the Australian wild, to the place where one would find cassowaries, not only running amok, but in their natural habitat, where they might have, I don't know, territory they wish to protect. And he finds a cassowary, and he gets out of his car. That's a little bit like, I don't know, what's the best analogy here? That's like seeing a chicken by the side of the road, carrying a machine gun, saying, wow, a chicken with a machine gun. I should go investigate that. And then walking up to the chicken, grabbing the machine gun and putting the machine gun to your forehead and saying, I wonder what's going to happen if I do this. In this scenario, of course, the chicken has the ability to pull the trigger. A cassowary is quite literally the worst animal you could come upon in the wild. It's not rolling the dice if you get out of your car and engage the cassowary. It's a matter of just when. It's just a matter of when the cassowary decides to kill you. It's not a matter of if the cassowary is going to kill you. Keep in mind that historically, human beings have not been able to defeat in large-scale combat the cassowary's much friendlier cousin, the emu. The emu who only has a 3-inch claw. One of the comments on the video asked, I bet it's not bulletproof. Son, think again. During the Great Emu War in Australia after the First World War, Australian veterans went to the Australian outback to clear emus out of the area. The emus were acting as pests on farmland, and the Australian military sent their then unemployed soldiers to go and just kind of clear out the problem. It was a pest control operation. You would think that giant 6-foot chickens would be easy targets for the trained, hardened soldiers who had just fought in the trenches of the Somme. You would be wrong. Not because the emus were necessarily particularly aggressive to the human beings. The emus weren't taking over, gun nests and turning the guns back on the Australian soldiers. No. But it turns out when a bird is 6 feet tall and can run 30 miles an hour, they're pretty fucking hard to hit with a bullet. Pardon my French. And all the feathers on them and the way they're arranged make it very difficult to hit a center mass target. Their heads are also very small, making their head a very difficult target, particularly at range. So they're essentially, for all intents and purposes, bulletproof, unless you're close enough for them to gut you with their claws, and at that point, they're probably going to gut you with their claws first. There's no winning in the situation. Needless to say, the Great Emu Wars of Australia were a loss. The human beings took an L, and the emus continued to run amok. Actually, they ran even more amok, because emus, it turns out, are typically solitary unless forced to move in packs by an exterior threat. That was us. That was the human beings. We created the exterior threat. Now, cassowaries don't move in packs, right? Cassowaries are solitary animals because they're highly territorial. But one does not simply walk up to a cassowary and just casually walk around. Now, the young man has not posted a second video as yet to show what happened when the cassowary followed him to the beach. I have to assume that the cassowary killed him. Obviously, that's a joke for purposes of everybody just breathe for a second. I'm not wishing a cassowary killed a human being. But that's just dumb. I get doing dumb stuff for clicks. People do it all the time. They do the stupid First Amendment auditors who walk into police stations with their phone and they just act all creepy. It's I don't answer questions. You're in a police station. Answer a question. I don't answer questions. I'm not doing anything suspicious. I'm just filming inside this police station. There's no sensitive information in here. I'm just going to keep filming. La 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 la. First Amendment auditors, what you do is stupid. You're not auditing the First Amendment. You're not auditing people obeying the First Amendment. What you do is stupid. Stop it. Stop it right now. Diddy. That's what my great-grandmother used to say to me when I was reaching for a hot stove. Don't do that. Did Arabic. I don't necessarily know what it means. But all that being said, to the young man who made the cassowary video, you have cojones for getting out of the car and stepping close enough for the cassowary to be directly next to you. I have to assume that those cojones have since been removed from your body, but you have cojones, or had them in this case. You may now be singing soprano at this point. I wish you all the best. I wish you a speedy recovery in what I'm sure has been a long and expensive hospital trip. To the cassowary, I apologize on behalf of the human race that this gentleman entered your territory. Please have your territory back. We do not wish to impinge upon it further. It is all yours. Please do not come to America. Please, no one bring the damn thing to America. And maybe, maybe we call it, maybe we just call it, we call it even. You got your area, we have our area. Neither the two shall meet. You just stay over there. And that's all the time I have for today to ramble on that. People, doing stupid stuff for clicks is a really stupid way to make money. I don't care if it works. Even and maybe especially if it works, stop doing it. You're just bringing the IQ of the human race down about 10 points. Don't do it. It's silly. You're silly. If you liked my podcast, like and subscribe. If you didn't like it, quite honestly, I don't make a living off this. Just, I'd like it if you liked and followed it because I'm an egomaniac. I like people listening to me when I talk. But if you didn't like it, it's no skin off my nose. Enjoy. Leave a comment, even if it's a mean one. If you wish to have ICE called on me, go back a video and, go to that guy's comment and like it, I guess. And I'll get to meet an ICE agent in real life, I suppose. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.